Hello, and welcome back to the Best English Podcast. My name is Sophia. I want to ask you a question, a very personal question. Have you ever stared at your English textbook, the one you were so excited to buy, and felt absolutely nothing, no excitement, no curiosity, just a heavy, tired feeling? Have you ever sat down to study and found yourself just scrolling on your phone instead, feeling a little bit guilty, a little bit ashamed, wondering where that fire you once had has gone? If you have ever felt this way, then I want you to know that this podcast, today, is for you. We are going to talk about the silent thief that steals our progress, the invisible wall that stops us from reaching our dreams. We are going to talk about motivation, but not in the way you've heard before. We are not going to talk about simple tips or easy tricks. We are going to go much, much deeper. We are going to explore the heart of what drives us and what stops us. Because let me tell you a secret. The difference between someone who successfully becomes confident in English and someone who gives up is rarely about talent. It's not about having a special language brain. The difference, almost always, comes down to understanding and mastering your own motivation. So I invite you to do something right now. If you can, find a quiet space. Put away any distractions. Silence your phone, because for the next hour or so, you and I are going on a journey. This isn't just a podcast to listen to. This is a workshop for your mind. I want you to bring your frustrations to the table, bring your doubts, bring your fears, because by the end of our time together, you will have a new perspective and a powerful set of tools to fight back. Are you ready? Let's begin. Learning English is a grand adventure. It's a marathon of a lifetime, not a short, simple sprint. And on any grand adventure, there are days of sunshine and clear skies. On these days, the path ahead is smooth, the birds are singing in the trees, and you feel as though you could walk forever. New words seem to leap into your mind and stay there. Conversations, even simple ones, feel effortless and joyful. You can feel the progress in every sentence you speak, in every page you read. It's intoxicating. But, as any true adventurer knows, the path is not always easy. There are other days when the sky turns a deep, heavy gray, when a thick fog descends and you can't see the path ahead. The road becomes steep and covered in sharp, loose rocks. Every single step feels like a monumental effort. On these days, grammar rules twist themselves into impossible knots in your mind. You search for the right words, but they hide from you. The very thought of opening your textbook or listening to another podcast feels as heavy as lead. This feeling, this profound lack of energy and desire, is the loss of motivation. And I need you to hear this, to let it sink in. It is completely, 100% normal. I want to assure you from the bottom of my heart that you are not alone in this feeling. I have walked that rocky path. Every successful language learner you've ever heard of has stumbled on that path. I remember a time, years ago, when I decided to learn a new language. The excitement in the beginning was a powerful force. I went to a beautiful stationery store and bought crisp, new notebooks and a set of colorful pens. I downloaded every promising app onto my phone, their little icons a testament to my ambition. I enthusiastically told all my friends and family about my new goal, my voice filled with determination. For the first few weeks, I was a model student. I was unstoppable. I carved out an hour every single day, a sacred time for my new language. But then, the inevitable happened. Life, with all its demands and distractions, got busy. I missed one day, telling myself, "It's okay, I'll make it up tomorrow." But tomorrow was also busy, and I missed that day too. The beautiful notebook slowly started to gather a thin layer of dust on my shelf. When I finally found the time and energy to open it again, the words looked foreign and strange, as if I was meeting them for the first time. A cold wave of failure washed over me, followed by a hot flush of shame. The whisper began in the back of my mind. Maybe I'm just not good at languages. Maybe I don't have what it takes. Maybe I should just quit. That whisper, that insidious voice that coaxes you to give up. That is the enemy we are going to face together today. This podcast will not be a simple list of 5 easy tips. This is going to be a deep, honest conversation. We are going to be detectives, exploring the deep psychological reasons why we lose motivation. And then we will be architects, building a powerful personalized toolkit of strategies, of stories, of new ways of thinking. My goal is that the next time that gray, foggy day comes, and it will come, you will be ready. You will see the fog not as a wall, but as a challenge you know how to navigate. You will know how to find your inner compass, how to relight your own fire. So please, find a comfortable chair. Perhaps pour yourself a cup of tea or coffee. Quiet your surroundings. And let's begin this journey together. First things first, we need to truly understand this complex thing we call motivation. It's a word we use constantly. But what does it really mean in the context of learning English? We can think of motivation as coming from 2 different sources. The first source is from the outside world. This is known as extrinsic motivation. The word extrinsic simply means from the outside. This is the motivation that comes from an external reward or an external pressure. For example, maybe you are learning English because you absolutely must pass an exam to graduate from university. That exam is an external pressure. Or perhaps you are learning English to get a better job, to earn a promotion, or to increase your salary. Money and career advancement are powerful external rewards. Maybe your family is planning to immigrate to an English-speaking country, and you need English for daily survival. These are all valid, powerful reasons, and very often, they are the initial spark that ignites our language learning journey. Let me tell you a story about a man named Alex. Alex was a brilliant accountant, a wizard with numbers and spreadsheets. He was highly respected at the local company where he had worked for 10 years. But Alex felt a growing sense of being stuck. He would browse job websites in the evenings, dreaming of working for a large multinational corporation. He saw the exciting projects, the opportunities for travel, the higher salaries. But every single one of these dream jobs had a non-negotiable requirement: a high level of business English. So, Alex decided to learn. His motivation was purely, undeniably extrinsic. He wanted that better job. He enrolled in an evening business English class. He was a diligent student. He filled notebooks with vocabulary lists related to finance, marketing, and logistics. He spent his evenings practicing how to write perfectly polite and professional emails. He was driven by a clear image in his mind: a corner office with a big window, a new title on his business card, and the respect of international colleagues. His English certainly improved. He could discuss financial reports and negotiate contracts, in theory. But he found the process to be incredibly dull. It felt like work, an extension of his already long day at the office. There was no joy in it. But something interesting happened one Tuesday evening. His English teacher, a kind woman named Mrs. Davison, announced that for homework, she wanted them to watch a movie in English. Alex was annoyed. He thought to himself, "A movie? What a waste of time! How will watching a movie help me analyze a balance sheet?" He almost didn't do it, but he was a good student, so he reluctantly found the movie online. The movie was not a fast-paced action film or a complex thriller. It was a simple, quiet, beautiful story about a man who quits his job to travel across America on a bicycle. And as Alex watched, for the first time in his English learning journey, he wasn't thinking about grammar rules or business vocabulary. He was simply listening to a story. He felt the main character's exhaustion as he cycled up a steep mountain. He felt the joy of the man discovering a hidden waterfall. He felt the warmth of the connections the man made with strangers in small towns. He forgot he was studying. He was just connecting with a piece of art in another language. After the movie ended, Alex sat in the quiet of his living room and felt a new kind of excitement bubbling inside him. It was a feeling he hadn't felt before. It wasn't the calculated ambition for a new job. It was a pure, simple curiosity. He went back to the internet and searched for other English movies by the same director. He found a television series the main actor had been in, and he started watching it. He would get so absorbed in the plot and the characters that hours would fly by. He then rediscovered his old love for rock music and started looking up his favorite bands from the UK and the US. He would listen to their songs while reading the lyrics, trying to understand the poetry and the stories they were telling. He started reading articles online, not just from the Financial Times, but from photography blogs and hiking websites, connecting English to his real hobbies. The job was still there, a goal floating in the back of his mind. But it was no longer the only reason. It wasn't even the main reason anymore. Something inside him had shifted. This new feeling that Alex discovered is the second and far more powerful type of motivation. It's called intrinsic motivation. The word intrinsic means from the inside. This is the motivation that comes from your own internal wellspring of joy, curiosity, and personal satisfaction. It's when you learn English, not because you have to, but because you truly want to. You do it for the sheer love of the process itself. You do it because it feels wonderful to understand the clever lyrics of a song, or to laugh at a joke in a movie before you read the subtitles, or to have a simple, genuine conversation with someone from a completely different culture. The story of Alex teaches us something of vital importance. Extrinsic motivation, like the new job or the exam, is a fantastic starting point. It gives you a clear, concrete goal and a reason to begin. But it can also be incredibly fragile. Think about it. What if Alex hadn't gotten the job he wanted? His motivation might have completely evaporated, leaving him feeling that all his effort was wasted. Or what if he did get the job? He might have reached a certain level and then stopped trying to improve because the external pressure was gone. Relying only on outside forces is like building your house on sand. When the winds of change blow, the foundation can easily wash away. But intrinsic motivation, the deep, personal love for the language and what it allows you to do, that is like building your house on solid rock. It's strong, it's stable, it is yours, and no one can take it away from you. So right now, in this moment, I invite you to become a detective of your own heart. You can even pause the podcast if you like. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, why am I really learning English? Yes, perhaps you have an exam to pass, a job to get, or a trip to take. Acknowledge those reasons. They are your extrinsic motivators. Write them down, but then dig deeper, peel back the layers. What is your intrinsic reason? What is the secret, joyful reason that belongs only to you? Do you dream of reading the Harry Potter books in their original magical language? Do you want to watch videos by your favorite scientist or philosopher without subtitles? Do you want to connect with a friend or a family member who lives on the other side of the world? Do you simply love the sound of the language, the way the words feel in your mouth? Find that deep, personal, joyful reason. That is your true north. Write it down on a piece of paper. Use your favorite colored pen. Stick it on your bathroom mirror, on the inside of your notebook, or on the wall above your desk. Because on those gray, foggy, difficult days, when the external pressures feel like a heavy weight, that internal fire is the light that will guide you. It is the real, unshakable reason you are on this path. Now that we have discovered our why, let's arm ourselves for the journey by identifying the common enemies of motivation. These are the obstacles and traps that can make even the most enthusiastic learner feel utterly hopeless. The first and perhaps most frustrating of these is a phenomenon known as the plateau. A plateau in geography is a high, flat area of land. When you're climbing a mountain, you might reach a plateau and walk for a long time without getting any higher. In language learning, it's that demoralizing feeling when you are studying and practicing consistently, but you don't feel like you are getting any better. Let's talk about Maria. Maria was a dedicated student from Spain. She had progressed from a complete beginner level, A1, to a solid intermediate level, B1, in about a year. She was immensely proud of her progress, and rightfully so. In those early stages, every day brought a thrilling new discovery. She learned how to introduce herself, how to order a coffee, how to talk about her family and her hobbies. The progress was visible, tangible, and deeply exciting. But then, she reached the B1 level, and it was as if she had hit a glass wall. Everything seemed to slow down to a crawl. She was still studying just as hard, perhaps even harder than before. She was tackling more complex grammar structures like the present, perfect, continuous, and third conditional sentences. She was trying to learn the subtle differences between phrasal verbs. But when she tried to speak, she felt like she was still making the same old, basic mistakes. She would get stuck for words. Her confidence plummeted. She felt stuck. She would open her textbook, see a grammar point, and think, I know this. I've studied this 10 times. But then she would try to use it in a conversation, and it just wouldn't come out right. The frustration was immense. She started to think, maybe this is my limit. Maybe this is as good as my English will ever be. Have you ever felt like Maria? Have you ever felt like you're running on a treadmill, putting in the effort but not moving forward? It's an incredibly common and disheartening experience. But I am here to tell you the secret truth about the plateau. It is not a sign that you have stopped learning. In fact, it is a sign that your brain is performing one of its most complex and important functions. In the beginner stages, learning is like building a tower with large, simple Lego blocks. You add a new block, and the tower gets visibly taller. The progress is obvious, but at the intermediate level, your brain is no longer just adding new blocks. It is doing something far more sophisticated. It is starting to wire everything together. It's taking all the separate pieces of vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation you've learned and is weaving them into a complex, interconnected network. It is turning conscious knowledge, things you have to actively and slowly think about, into unconscious skill, things you can do automatically without thinking. This process is called consolidation. It's like a massive, silent software update happening in your brain. You can't see it from the outside, so you feel like nothing is happening. But it is the bridge between knowing about the language and being able to use the language. You are not stuck. You are consolidating. You are getting stronger in ways you cannot yet see. So, when you find yourself on a plateau, the solution is not always to push harder with the exact same methods. That can lead to burnout. Instead, you need to change your activity. Change the scenery for your brain. If you've been relentlessly focused on grammar books, put them away for a week. Switch to listening to an audiobook or a podcast about a topic you love. If you've been watching hours of movies, try a different skill, like writing a daily journal, even if it's just 3 sentences. Shock your brain a little, give it a new kind of stimulus, and most importantly, practice radical patience with yourself. See the plateau for what it is, a normal and necessary part of the journey. It's not a sign of failure, it's a resting place where your brain is gathering its strength before the next big climb. Another powerful motivation killer, especially in our hyper-connected modern world, is the poison of comparison. Through the lens of social media, it's incredibly easy to look at the curated highlight reels of other people's lives and feel that our own reality is somehow lacking. This poison seeps into language learning as well. Maybe you have a friend or a colleague who started learning English at the exact same time as you. But now, when you listen to them speak, their accent sounds so much more natural. Or they seem to have a vast vocabulary, effortlessly using words you've never even heard of. You see them post a picture on Instagram of a long English novel they just finished, while you're still painstakingly working your way through a short news article with a dictionary by your side. It is so easy to fall into the trap of thinking, "What is wrong with me? Why am I so slow? Why am I not learning as fast as they are?" Let me tell you the story of 2 best friends, Kenji and Hiroshi, from Japan. They both worked at the same company and decided to learn English together to be eligible for an overseas assignment. They joined the same evening class and often studied together at a local coffee shop. But their approaches were completely different. Kenji was very analytical and methodical. He loved the structure of grammar. He found comfort in rules and patterns. He would spend hours meticulously doing grammar exercises, creating detailed flashcards, and memorizing long lists of irregular verbs. Hiroshi, on the other hand, was much more of an extrovert. He found the grammar books boring. He didn't care about being perfect. He just wanted to communicate, to connect with people. He spent his evenings on language exchange apps, having messy, broken, but incredibly fun video calls with people from all over the world. After 6 months, their teacher gave them a practice exam. On the grammar and reading sections, Kenji scored almost perfectly. He was the top student in the class. But then, the teacher put them in pairs for a speaking task. Hiroshi was a star. He was confident, animated, and fluent. He made plenty of grammar mistakes for sure, but he was able to get his ideas across, tell jokes, and ask interesting questions. Kenji, who in theory knew all the rules perfectly, froze. He was so terrified of making a mistake, so busy trying to construct the perfect sentence in his head, that he was slow and hesitant. He could barely speak. After the class, Kenji felt a crushing sense of defeat. He thought, "All my hard work, it was for nothing. Hiroshi is just naturally talented at this. I'm a failure." But was he? Absolutely not. They simply had different learning styles, different strengths, and were on different timelines. Kenji was building an incredibly strong and accurate foundation of grammar, which would serve him immensely in the long run, especially for writing and formal communication. Hiroshi was building fluency and confidence, essential skills for real-world interaction. Neither approach was inherently better or worse. They were just different paths up the same mountain. The problem wasn't their English level. The problem was Kenji's act of comparing his journey to Hiroshi's. Your language learning journey is as unique as your own fingerprint. It is a complex tapestry woven from the threads of your personality, your mother tongue, your past educational experiences, the amount of time and energy you can dedicate, and 100 other factors. Comparing your progress to someone else's is as illogical as comparing a rose to a sunflower. Both are beautiful flowers, but they grow in different ways and at different speeds. The sunflower might grow taller much faster, but the rose has intricate layers and a unique, delicate fragrance. Instead of looking at others with envy, try to look at them with curiosity and inspiration. If your friend is excelling in their speaking, ask them for tips. How do they practice? What resources do they use? Celebrate their successes with them. And then, gently but firmly, turn your focus back to your own path. The only person you should ever compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. Are you a little bit better today than you were last week? Did you learn one new phrase? Did you understand one more minute of a podcast? If the answer is yes, then you are succeeding. Your pace is the perfect pace for you. The third enemy of motivation is a close cousin of comparison, and it is the paralyzing fear of making mistakes. This fear can be so powerful that it acts like a cage, preventing you from speaking, from writing, from even trying. Most of us were educated in systems where mistakes were marked with a red pen and resulted in bad grades. We learned from a young age that mistakes are bad, something to be avoided at all costs. So, we learn to be cautious. We learn to only raise our hand if we are 100% certain our answer is correct. But when you apply this mindset to language learning, it is a recipe for disaster. I want you to imagine a small child, maybe 1 or 2 years old, who is learning to walk. The child pulls herself up, her little legs shaking. She takes one wobbly, uncertain step, and then she tumbles down onto her bottom. What do the parents do? Do they rush over, scolding the child and saying, "That was a mistake. You're not supposed to fall down. Bad baby?" Of course not. That would be absurd. They smile, they clap their hands, they say, "Good job, try again," in an encouraging voice. They instinctively know that falling is not a failure. Falling is an essential, non-negotiable part of learning to walk. Mistakes are the data the child's brain and muscles need to learn about balance, gravity, and coordination. Mistakes are not the opposite of progress. Mistakes are the path of progress. I invite you to try and adopt this same gentle, encouraging mindset for your English learning. Every single mistake you make is a precious gift. It's a piece of data. It's information. When you use the wrong preposition or forget this on a third-person verb, you are not failing. You are simply discovering a gap in your knowledge. It's like a helpful signpost on your journey that says, "Hey, this is a great area to focus on next." A person who never makes a mistake in a foreign language is a person who is not truly learning. They are staying inside their tiny comfort zone, repeating the same 5 simple sentences they learned years ago. The person who is making lots of mistakes, they are the true adventurer. They are experimenting with new words, trying out complex grammar, pushing their boundaries, and actively growing. So, How can we begin to dismantle this fear? One of the most effective ways is to consciously create a safe space for practice. This could be with a patient and kind teacher, a trusted friend who supports you, or a language exchange partner who is also learning your language and therefore completely understands the struggle. It could even be just talking to yourself. I know it might sound strange, but it is an incredibly powerful technique. When you are home alone, describe your room in English. Talk about your day out loud while you are cooking dinner or washing the dishes. Now I am chopping the onions. I am going to put them in the pan. No one is listening. There is zero pressure. You are simply getting your mouth, your tongue, and your brain used to the physical act of forming English words and sentences. Another powerful technique is to actively change your internal self-talk. The next time you speak and make a mistake, I want you to notice the voice in your head. What does it say? Is it a harsh critic saying, "Oh, you're so stupid. That was a terrible mistake. You'll never learn this"? If so, you need to politely thank that critic for its opinion and then fire it. You need to hire a new internal coach. A coach who, when you make a mistake, says, "Oh, interesting. I used in when it should be on. That's a tricky one. I'll try to remember that for next time. Good job for trying." Or even better, learn to find the humor in your mistakes. Language mistakes can often be incredibly funny. I will never forget the time I was trying to speak Spanish, and I wanted to tell a group of new friends that I was very embarrassed about something. But instead of saying "tengo vergüenza," I confidently announced to the whole table that I was muy embarazada, which means very pregnant. The entire table erupted in laughter. And once I understood my mistake, I laughed the hardest. I can promise you, I have never forgotten the correct word for embarrassed in Spanish since that day. Mistakes make you memorable. They make you human. Embrace them. They are shiny badges of honor that prove you are trying. This leads us to a deeper concept, the idea of a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. This idea, from the work of psychologist Carol Dweck, is revolutionary. A person with a fixed mindset believes that their abilities are innate and unchangeable. They think you are either good at languages or you are bad at them. When they face a challenge or make a mistake, they see it as proof of their lack of ability. They think, "See? I knew I was bad at this." This mindset leads to giving up easily. A person with a growth mindset, on the other hand, believes that their abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. They see challenges not as threats, but as opportunities to grow. When they make a mistake, they don't think, "I am a failure." They think, "My strategy isn't working. I need to try something different." They see effort as the path to mastery. Simply knowing about these two mindsets can be life-changing. You can choose to adopt a growth mindset. When you feel frustrated, you can say to yourself, "This is hard, but I am capable of learning it. I just haven't figured it out yet." That one little word, "yet," is the language of a growth mindset, and it can make all the difference. Finally, let's talk about the twin enemies of boredom and overwhelm. Boredom creeps in when your learning routine becomes stale, monotonous, and repetitive. If every single day you just open the same grammar book to the next page and do the same fill-in-the-blank exercises, of course you will lose motivation. Your brain is a novelty-seeking machine. It craves engagement and variety. Overwhelm is the opposite problem, but it's just as dangerous. This happens when you try to do everything at once. You create a mental list. I need to improve my grammar, increase my vocabulary, practice my listening, perfect my speaking, speed up my reading, and learn to write essays. And I need to do it all now. You buy 10 different books, subscribe to 20 podcasts, download 15 apps, and try to study for 4 hours every single day. Very quickly, you experience total burnout. The task seems so impossibly huge that you feel crushed under its weight, and you just give up completely. The solution to both boredom and overwhelm is to be smart, strategic, and creative about how you learn. And this brings us to the most practical and hopeful part of our conversation today: the concrete strategies for building and sustaining your motivation for the long, adventurous road ahead. The first and most foundational strategy is to set smart, realistic goals. So many learners operate with a very vague and unhelpful goal. I want to be fluent in English. While this is a beautiful and understandable dream, it's a terrible goal. What does fluent even mean? Does it mean you never make a mistake? Does it mean you sound like a native speaker? The definition is unclear. And because it's so big and distant, it doesn't motivate you to take action today. It's like standing at the bottom of a huge mountain and only looking at the peak. It's so far away that it just makes you feel tired. Instead, we need to use what is famously known as the SMART framework for goal setting. SMART is an acronym that gives us a checklist for creating powerful goals. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Let's break that down with more detail. Specific means your goal must be crystal clear and well-defined. I want to improve my speaking is not specific. It's a wish. A specific goal is, I want to be able to confidently tell a 3-minute story about my last holiday to my conversation partner. See how much clearer that is? You know exactly what you are aiming for. Measurable means you need a way to track your progress and know for sure when you have reached your goal. I want to learn more vocabulary is not measurable. How much is more? A measurable goal is, I will learn 10 new words related to cooking this week, and I will be successful if I can use at least 7 of them correctly in my own sentences. You can count the words. You can check if you use them correctly. It's measurable. Achievable, or realistic, means your goal should stretch you, but not be so difficult that it's impossible. It must be something you can actually accomplish given your current situation. If you have a demanding job and 2 young children, setting a goal to study for 4 hours every day is probably not achievable. It sets you up for failure and disappointment. A much more achievable goal would be, I will study for 20 minutes every morning before the children wake up. Setting and achieving small, realistic goals builds confidence and creates powerful momentum. Relevant means the goal must matter to you. It should be directly connected to your bigger intrinsic reason for learning English. If your main passion is watching English movies, then setting a goal to learn 100 words of legal English vocabulary is probably not very relevant. It will feel like a chore. A much more relevant goal would be, I want to be able to watch a 10-minute clip from my favorite movie without subtitles and understand the main idea. When your goals are personally relevant, your motivation to work on them will be 10 times higher. Finally, time-bound means your goal needs a deadline. A deadline creates a healthy sense of urgency and prevents procrastination. Without a deadline, a goal is just a dream that you'll get to one day. So instead of, I want to learn 10 new words, a time-bound goal is, I want to learn 10 new words by this Friday. The deadline prompts you to take action now. Let's go back to Lena. Lena's initial goal was to be fluent, and she felt completely paralyzed by how huge it was. Her study was chaotic. One day she'd read a bit of news, the next she'd watch a grammar video, the next she'd do nothing. She had no focus. Then she learned about SMART goals. She sat down with a notebook and really thought about what she wanted in the short term. She realized that the most stressful part of her day was the lunch break at her new job, where all her colleagues chatted in English. So she created her first SMART goal. By the end of this month, time-bound, I want to be able to participate in the lunch conversation by asking my colleagues at least 2 questions about their weekend and being able to answer 1 question about my weekend, specific. I will be successful if I can do this without looking at my translator app on my phone, measurable. This goal was highly relevant to her daily life, and it felt totally achievable. Suddenly, her study had a laser focus. She didn't need to learn everything. She needed to learn vocabulary about weekend activities, hobbies, movies, restaurants. She practiced asking and answering questions. At the end of the month, she went to the lunch break, her heart pounding, and she did it. She asked a colleague, "Did you do anything fun on the weekend?" It wasn't perfect, but she did it. The feeling of success was so powerful. It was like a drug. It motivated her to immediately set her next small, SMART goal. So here is a practical task for you. Think about your English right now. What is one small thing you would like to be able to do? Now, take a few minutes and try to turn it into a SMART goal. Write it down. This simple act can be the first step in transforming your learning from a vague, overwhelming dream into a concrete, actionable plan. The second strategy is a close partner to the first. It is this: focus on building a reliable system, not just on achieving goals. This is a subtle but profound shift in perspective. What's the difference? A goal is the result you want to achieve in the future. A system is the process you follow in the present. Your goal might be to have a clean and tidy house. Your system is putting your clothes away each night, washing the dishes after every meal, and wiping down the counters. A person with a great system will achieve their goal almost automatically. Think about it this way: winners and losers in any field often have the exact same goals. Every athlete who competes in the Olympics wants to win the gold medal. The goal itself doesn't make them a winner. The athletes who succeed are the ones who have the best systems. They don't obsess over the medal every day. They obsess over their daily system, their training schedule, their nutrition, their sleep, their recovery. They fall in love with the process. Let's think about David again. David's SMART goal was to learn 1,000 new vocabulary words in 3 months. It was a good goal, but he found his motivation went up and down. Some days he would feel inspired and try to memorize 50 words, only to feel exhausted and forget most of them. Other days, he felt too tired to even start, and he would learn none. His progress was inconsistent and frustrating. Then he read about focusing on systems. He decided to change his focus entirely. He created a new system for himself. Every single morning, while my coffee is brewing, I will do one 5-minute lesson on my vocabulary app. That's it. That was his entire system. It was incredibly simple, easy to do, and linked to a powerful existing habit: his morning coffee. He stopped worrying about the big number, 1,000. He just focused on one thing: don't break the chain. Just show up and do the 5-minute lesson. Some days he felt great and did a few extra lessons. Some days he was tired and just did the minimum 5 minutes. But he was consistent. He followed his system every single day. And guess what? After 3 months, he decided to check his progress on the app. He had learned over 1,200 new words. the goal was achieved as a natural byproduct of having a reliable system. Your system doesn't need to be complex or time-consuming. In fact, the best systems are simple, obvious, and sustainable. 15 minutes of focused practice every single day is infinitely more powerful than a heroic 3-hour study session once a week. Why? Because consistency builds habits, and habits are what carry you forward on the days when motivation is low. You don't need to feel motivated to brush your teeth. You just do it. It's an automatic habit. Our aim is to make your English practice feel the same way, an easy, natural part of your day. A fantastic way to build a system is through a technique called habit stacking, popularized by the author James Clear. The formula is simple. After current habit, I will new English habit. You stack your desired English habit on top of a habit that is already firmly established in your daily routine. For example, after I finish washing the dishes in the evening, I will listen to one song in English and try to write down all the words I understand. Or, before I allow myself to check social media in the morning, I will spend 5 minutes reading a news article in English. By linking the new habit to an existing one, you are using the momentum of your old habit to launch the new one. It's like giving your new habit a piggyback ride. So think about your daily routine. What are the things you do every single day without fail? Brushing your teeth, making coffee, commuting to work, eating lunch. Where can you insert a tiny 5 or 10-minute English habit? That is the seed of your powerful, motivation-proof system. Our third strategy is perhaps the most important of all for cultivating that deep, intrinsic motivation. And it is this: you must make it fun, and you must make it personal. So many of us carry scars from how we learned English in school. We remember boring, irrelevant textbooks. We remember difficult grammar exercises that felt like torture. We remember the terror of being called on by the teacher and the pressure of exams. We have been conditioned to believe that learning must be serious, difficult, and a little bit painful. But I am here to tell you that this is a lie. It is a damaging myth. The truth is, you will learn much, much faster and stay motivated infinitely longer if you are genuinely having fun. Your brain is wired to pay attention to and remember things that are enjoyable and engaging. The secret key is to connect English to your deepest passions, your personal hobbies, and your unique interests. Whatever it is that you love to do in your own language, I promise you, you can do it in English. Let's go back to the story of Chloe, who loved to bake. Her kitchen was her sanctuary, a place of creativity and joy. She tried to learn English using traditional methods, apps, books, but she found it incredibly boring, and it felt completely disconnected from her real life. She almost gave up. Then, one Saturday, she had a brilliant idea. She wanted to bake a classic New York cheesecake. Instead of looking for a recipe in her native language, she went on YouTube and searched for how to bake a perfect New York cheesecake in English. She found a wonderful video by a friendly American baker with a clear, warm voice. Chloe turned on the English subtitles. She didn't understand every single word, of course, but she could see what the baker was doing. She was learning visually, and at the same time, she was absorbing new vocabulary in a rich, meaningful context. She learned words like cream cheese, graham cracker crust, spatula, and water bath. The next day, she found a written recipe for chocolate chip cookies in English. She had her dictionary open on the kitchen counter, and she slowly worked her way through the instructions. She made a few mistakes. She confused a tablespoon with a teaspoon, and the first batch of cookies was incredibly salty. But she laughed, corrected her mistake, and the second batch was perfect. Chloe had stumbled upon the secret. She stopped studying English as a separate academic subject, and she started living parts of her life in English. Her learning was no longer a chore. It was a joyful and delicious part of her favorite hobby. She started following famous chefs from the UK and Australia on Instagram. She bought an English cookbook and put it on a stand in her kitchen. She was learning hundreds of new words, phrases, and cultural nuances without even feeling like she was studying, because she was completely absorbed and having fun. Your passion might not be baking. It could be absolutely anything. Do you love video games? Change the language settings on your favorite game to English. You'll learn a huge amount of vocabulary in a highly motivating context. Join an online forum or a Discord server to discuss strategies with other players from around the world. Do you live and breathe football? Watch the Premier League matches with the original English commentary. Read sports news websites like ESPN or BBC Sport. Follow your favorite players on social media and read their posts and the comments. Do you love fashion and style? Watch Get Ready With Me videos and clothing hauls in English. Read fashion blogs like The Business of Fashion or Vogue. Do you love history, science, cars, gardening, psychology, true crime, animals? There is an entire universe of fascinating content out there in English. Videos, podcasts, books, blogs, communities, all just waiting for you to discover them. When you connect English to what you already love, it changes the entire emotional texture of the experience. It activates your powerful intrinsic motivation. You are no longer learning because you feel you have to. You are learning because it brings you joy, excitement, and allows you to engage more deeply with your passions. So, my next practice prompt for you is this. Take out a piece of paper and write down your top 3 hobbies or interests. Now, next to each one, brainstorm 3 ways you can bring English into that activity this week. Maybe it's watching one video, reading one article, or finding one new social media account to follow. Go and do it. Don't just think about it. Take that small action. See how it feels. It might just be the spark that reignites your entire journey. The 4th strategy is essential for combating that feeling of being on a plateau. It is, track your progress and celebrate your small wins. As we've discussed, it can often feel like you are putting in the work but getting nowhere. Our brains are notoriously bad at perceiving slow, gradual change. We completely forget what it was like to be a complete beginner, unable to say anything more than, hello. That's why the act of consciously tracking your progress is so crucial. It provides you with cold, hard evidence that you're moving forward, which is one of the most powerful motivators there is. This tracking system doesn't need to be complex or high-tech. A simple, cheap notebook can become your most powerful motivational tool. Let's go back to Sam. Sam was feeling deeply discouraged. He felt like his English was stagnant. So, he decided to start a progress journal. It was very simple. Every single day, before bed, he would take 2 minutes to write down 3 things. 1. One new word or phrase he learned that day. 2. One thing he did in English that day. Example. Watched a 10-minute YouTube video. Chatted with a friend for 5 minutes. 3. One sentence about how he felt about his English that day. At the end of the first week, he looked back and didn't feel much different. But after a full month, he sat down and read his journal from the very beginning. He was shocked. He saw words on the first page that were once new and difficult for him, but were now easy and familiar. He saw that on the first day, He could only watch a 2-minute video and felt confused. But last night he had watched a 20-minute video and felt interested. He read his entry from the first week where he wrote, "I feel very scared to speak." And on the most recent day, he had written, "I had a short conversation today and it felt good." The proof was right there in his own handwriting. He had improved a lot. This visible, undeniable proof gave him a massive surge of confidence and motivation. It showed him that his daily efforts, however small, were adding up. There are countless ways to track your progress. You could keep a journal like Sam. You could use your phone to record yourself speaking for 1 minute once a week, answering the same question like, "How was your week?" Then, after 2 months, listen to your first recording and your latest one back to back. You will be amazed at the difference. You could take an old piece of writing you did, an email or a short paragraph, and rewrite it now. You'll be stunned at how many improvements you can make to your own work. The key is simply to create a record, a timeline of your journey that makes your invisible progress visible. And as you track your progress, you must learn to celebrate your small wins. We are often so fixated on the giant, distant goal of fluency that we completely forget to acknowledge and appreciate the small, brave steps we take along the way. Did you understand a joke in an English movie for the very first time without needing to read the subtitles? That is not a small thing. That is a huge achievement. You should pause the movie and literally give yourself a pat on the back. Celebrate it. Did you successfully use a new, complex grammar structure, like the passive voice in a conversation? That is a victory. Did you have the courage to ask a stranger for directions, even though your heart was pounding? That is a massive triumph of bravery. These small wins are the fuel that keeps your motivational engine running. You have to acknowledge them. Be proud of them. You can even create a system of rewards. If you stick to your study plan for a whole week, treat yourself to something you enjoy. Maybe it's a nice coffee from your favorite cafe, an episode of your favorite show, or a new book. Positive reinforcement is a powerful psychological tool. Celebrate how far you've come, and you will find you have the energy and enthusiasm to keep on going. Our fifth strategy is something that can fundamentally change the nature of the journey, transforming it from a lonely struggle into a shared adventure. Find a community. Learning a language can sometimes feel like a very solitary and isolating activity. It can feel like it's just you, your books, and your computer screen, but it absolutely does not have to be this way. Humans are social creatures. We are wired for connection. We learn better, stay more motivated, and have more fun when we are connected to other people who share our goals and truly understand our struggles. Let's dive deeper into the story of Isabella from Brazil. She was learning English at home, entirely by herself, using apps and websites. She was a disciplined student, and she was making progress, but she felt profoundly isolated. She had no one to practice speaking with, which was her biggest insecurity. More than that, she had no one who understood the specific kind of frustration you feel when a word is on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't grasp it. Her motivation was beginning to fade. Then, a friend recommended an online language exchange platform. Isabella was terrified at first. The thought of speaking to a native speaker was her biggest fear. But she took a deep breath, created a profile, and uploaded a friendly picture. A few days later, she received a message from a woman named Sarah, who lived in Manchester, England. Sarah's message said that she was trying to learn Brazilian Portuguese because her boyfriend was from Brazil and she was struggling. Isabella felt a wave of relief. This person wasn't a scary, perfect native speaker. She was a learner, just like her. They arranged a video call for the following weekend. The first 5 minutes of the call were incredibly awkward. They both smiled nervously, speaking slowly. But then, Isabella tried to explain something in English and used the wrong word, and Sarah laughed kindly and gently corrected her. A few minutes later, Sarah tried to say something in Portuguese and made a hilarious grammar mistake, and Isabella laughed and corrected her. In that moment of shared vulnerability, a connection was forged. They realized they were in the exact same boat. They decided to talk every single Saturday morning. 30 minutes in English, 30 minutes in Portuguese. This weekly appointment transformed Isabella's learning. Suddenly, she had a real, tangible reason to study during the week. She wanted to be able to tell Sarah about the movie she had watched or the interesting thing that happened at her job. She had a completely safe person to practice speaking with, someone who would never judge her mistakes, because Sarah was making just as many mistakes in Portuguese. They quickly became genuine friends. They talked not just about language, but about their lives, their families, their hopes, their worries. Isabella was no longer just learning a subject from a book. She was using English to build a real, warm, human connection. Her motivation didn't just return, it skyrocketed. Finding your community is easier now than it has ever been in human history. You can join online forums like Reddit's R English Learning, where thousands of learners share resources and answer questions. You can use language exchange apps like HelloTalk or Tandem to find a partner like Isabella did. You can find affordable, patient tutors and conversation partners on websites like italki or Preply. You can join Facebook groups for English learners in your city or with your specific interests. You can even find a powerful sense of community right here. Take a moment to read the comments on this very video. You will see that there are thousands of people from every corner of the globe who are on the exact same journey as you. Write a comment yourself, share your story, ask a question, reply to someone else's comment with a word of encouragement. When you realize you are part of a massive, global community of brave language learners, the feeling of isolation melts away. You are not alone. We are all in this together. Now, these strategies are fantastic for building and maintaining motivation. But we must be honest. There will be days when you wake up and you have nothing. The tank is empty. The fire is just a pile of cold ash. You feel tired, frustrated, and the last thing in the world you want to do is conjugate an irregular verb. This is burnout, and it happens to everyone who pursues a long-term goal. On these days, trying to force yourself to do a long, intense study session is the worst thing you can do. It's like trying to run on a sprained ankle. It will only cause more damage and make you resent the activity. On these days, you need to practice the art of self-compassion. Remember the story of Omar, who was studying for a big exam. He was pushing himself so hard, studying for hours every day, that he became stressed, irritable, and started making more and more mistakes. He was burning out, and he felt like a failure. His wise teacher gave him some surprising advice. She said, "Omar, for the next 3 days, you are forbidden from doing any English study. Do not open a book. Do not watch a video. Go for walks. Meet your friends. Watch movies in your own language. Your only homework is to rest." Omar was shocked. He felt guilty. But he followed her advice. For 3 days, he completely disconnected. He slept more. He went to a park. He had dinner with his family. And on the 4th day, he woke up and felt different. He felt a sense of lightness. and he felt a tiny spark of curiosity to get back to his studies. Sometimes, the most productive and intelligent thing you can do for your English learning is to take a deliberate, guilt-free break. Your brain needs time to rest and recover, just like your muscles after a hard workout. Rest is not laziness. Rest is a strategic part of the process. However, if you feel that a complete break might disrupt your momentum too much, you can try the powerful concept of minimum viable effort. The goal here is simply to keep your habit alive, even by the smallest, most pathetic action imaginable. The goal is to not break the chain. If you don't have the energy or motivation to study for your usual 30 minutes, can you do just 5 minutes? If 5 minutes feels like too much, can you just listen to one song in English while you brush your teeth? If that's still too much, can you just open your vocabulary app, look at one single word, and then close it? The goal on these difficult days is not to make progress. The goal is simply to show up and cast a vote for your new identity. The goal is to tell your brain, even on my worst day, I am still the kind of person who practices English. And what you'll often find is that once you start that one tiny, easy action, it's easier to continue than you thought. Getting started is always the hardest part. Let's now try to bring all of these powerful ideas together in one final comprehensive story. This is the story of a woman named Anna. Anna was 61 years old. She had worked for over 40 years in the same small local administrative office. Her life was comfortable, predictable, and revolved around her small town. Then, her only daughter, who had moved to Canada years ago, gave birth to a beautiful baby girl named Lily. Anna was a grandmother. She was filled with a love so immense it almost hurt. But there was a shadow over her joy. Her daughter and son-in-law spoke to Lily exclusively in English. When Anna would have video calls with them, she could smile and wave. She could make funny faces, but she couldn't talk to her own granddaughter. Her daughter would translate, "Lily, Grandma says you look beautiful today." But it wasn't the same. Anna felt like there was a thick glass wall between her and this child she adored. She dreamed of being able to read Lily a bedtime story. She wanted to sing her Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. She wanted to understand the little words and phrases that made Lily laugh. This deep, powerful ache in her heart was Anna's intrinsic motivation. It was a motivation forged in love, not ambition. It was about connection. So, Anna, at the age of 61, decided to learn English. At first, it felt like an impossible task. She went to a bookstore and bought a big, intimidating grammar book. The pages were dense with rules and exceptions that just confused her. She tried a popular app, but the fast-paced games made her feel anxious. She felt like her brain was too old, that the new information just wouldn't stick. After a few weeks of frustration, she was ready to give up. But then, that evening, she had a video call and saw Lily take her first steps, and the fire in her heart was reignited. She couldn't quit. She just needed a different path. She decided to get smart. She set her first SMART goal. It wasn't become fluent. It was, in 2 months, I want to be able to have a 5-minute video call with Lily where I can ask her 3 simple questions. How are you? What is your favorite toy? And do you want to sing a song? And understand her simple answers. This goal felt concrete and achievable. Next, she built a system that worked for her life. She was not a morning person, so studying before work was out. But she loved to sit and knit while watching television in the evening. She created her habit stack. After I sit down to knit at 7 p.m., I will first spend 15 minutes doing a lesson on an English app designed for seniors. It was a small, gentle system, and she stuck to it. Then she focused on making it fun and deeply personal. What was relevant to her goal? Children's culture. She started watching English cartoons for toddlers, like Peppa Pig. At first, she felt a bit silly, a grown woman watching these simple shows. But then she realized with a thrill that she was learning the exact same words Lily was learning. Puddle, teddy bear, dinosaur. She went online and ordered the same simple picture books that her daughter was reading to Lily. She would practice reading them out loud, her voice quiet and hesitant at first, but growing stronger with each passing day. She learned the lyrics to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and would sing it while she was doing the gardening. She was connecting her learning directly to her heart's desire. She diligently tracked her progress. She kept a notebook where she practiced writing her 3 questions. But her favorite tracking method was a new tradition she started. Every Sunday afternoon, she would set up her phone, take a deep breath, and record a short video of herself reading 1 page from a children's book in English. She would send this video to her daughter. Her daughter would then show the video to Lily, saying, "Look, it's Grandma reading you a story." It was a way of building a connection even before she could have a real-time conversation. And for Anna, these videos were her progress journal. When she felt discouraged, she would look back at her very first video and compare it to her most recent one. The difference was astounding. Her voice was more confident, her pronunciation was clearer, her reading was smoother. This visible proof was the encouragement she needed to keep going. She still had bad days, of course, days filled with self-doubt. On those days, she was kind to herself. She would allow herself to skip her app lesson. Her minimum viable effort was simply to watch one of the saved videos her daughter had sent her of Lily laughing. That was enough to remind her of her why. Finally, her daughter helped her find a community. She found an online forum for grandparents learning English for their grandkids. For the first time, Anna connected with people who understood her exact situation. There was a man from Italy learning for his grandson in Australia, and a woman from Korea learning for her granddaughter in the United States. They shared tips on the best children's books. They shared their frustrations with tricky grammar. And they shared photos and stories of their beloved grandchildren. Anna no longer felt old or alone. She had found her tribe. 2 months later, the day of her goal arrived. She called her daughter, her hands trembling slightly. Her daughter answered and turned the phone to little Lily, who was now walking and babbling. Anna took a deep breath. "Hello, Lily," she said, her voice full of emotion. "How are you?" Lily looked at the screen, smiled a big, toothy grin, and replied, "I'm good, Grandma." Anna's heart soared. She then asked, "What is your favorite toy?" Lily toddled off screen and came back holding a worn, well-loved teddy bear. She held it up to the camera and shouted, "Bear!" Anna then took another deep breath and asked, "Do you want to sing a song?" Lily's face lit up. "Yes!" she squealed. And together, separated by thousands of miles but connected by love and a shared language, Anna and her granddaughter sang a slightly out of tune but absolutely perfect rendition of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Anna's eyes filled with tears of pure joy. It wasn't a long or complex conversation, but it was everything. It was the beginning of a lifetime of conversations. Anna's story and all the stories we've heard today show us that it is never too late. It shows us that with the right motivation, the right mindset, and the right strategies, anything is possible. Your journey is your own. Your reasons are your own. The challenges you face are real, but so is your capacity for growth and your incredible strength. Motivation is not a magical thing you either have or you don't. It is something you build day by day, action by action. You build it by understanding your true why. You build it with smart goals and consistent systems. You build it by weaving joy and personal passion into your practice. You build it by making your progress visible and celebrating every small victory. You build it by finding your community and sharing the journey. And you sustain it by treating yourself with kindness and compassion on the hard days. So, as we come to the close of our time together today, I want you to feel a renewed sense of hope, and more importantly, a sense of personal power. You have the ability to take control of your motivation. You are the architect of your own learning journey. The road ahead will certainly have its twists and turns, its sunny days and its foggy patches. But you are not navigating blind. You now have a map and a comprehensive toolkit. The next time you feel that gray cloud of doubt rolling in, I want you to remember Alex, who found a joy in learning that was far greater than any job title. Remember Maria, and see your plateau not as a wall, but as a sign of deep and powerful consolidation. Remember Kenji, and release yourself from the poison of comparison. Remember Chloe, and infuse your learning with the things that make you feel alive. Remember Sam, and find power in seeing how far you've come. Remember Isabella, and seek out the strength that comes from human connection. And above all, remember Anna, and know that the most powerful goals are the ones that come from the heart. You are capable. You are resilient. You are making progress, even and especially when you can't see it. And you are not alone on this path. Thank you so much for the gift of your time and attention today. I hope this deep dive has been helpful and inspiring for you. I would be so grateful to hear your story. In the comments below, please share one thing that helps you stay motivated on your English journey. Your story, your single tip, could be the exact spark that someone else in our community needs to hear today. My name is Sophia, and this has been the Best English Podcast. Keep learning, keep growing, and please be kind to yourself along the way. I look forward to speaking with you again very soon.